What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 2 of The Punk. Thanks for watching last week. Thanks for all your comments. It's been greatly appreciated. Quite enjoyed doing that first episode, but hopefully going to be making the episode shorter as we go on. That was like the pilot episode, so to speak. So, as to be expected, WWE, after WrestleMania, have now gone back to normal service has resumed. They're going to be building up towards Extreme Rules going forward now, so we've seen a lot of rivalries kind of come into play leading into that event. So normal service has resumed. The crowds are back to normal, unfortunately, as well. But we'll go back into that in a bit. So Monday Night Raw, as to be expected. You will never be able to follow on a Raw like the night after WrestleMania. As I said in the first episode, this wasn't going to happen. So I wasn't actually expecting it to be as bad as it actually was, though. It was a really bad, horrible 3 hours experience, filled with pointless matches, horrible title changes, illogical story progression, biggest offender being Antonio Cesaro, not used at WrestleMania, dropping the title to Kofi Kingston, who always, every single year, gets a post-Mania push from WWE, and it's horrible to see. So he'll probably just be a transitional champion and will drop to someone like Fandango, perhaps, in the coming weeks, and might even turn heel, as it's been rumoured heavily. So with Cesaro, it was just tragic, really. The guy's held the title since SummerSlam and was horribly booked, lost pretty much every single match this year that he's had on TV. And just, yodels to the ring. I thought it was a good gimmick tweak, but, it's just grown annoying. Maybe he's doing that to protest against his use in the company. I'm not sure, and I don't want to speculate. So that was issue number one. The other issue was, it wasn't just Cesaro who lost. Every single singles title holder who was in action on Monday lost. And, the WWE, surely you want to make your champions look good. No? Okay. Let's just book them to lose all the time. Wade Barrett wins the title 24 hours after losing it last week on Raw and loses against R-Truth. I thought the finish was actually a mistake. It looked like an issue or some sort of fast count with a ref. They both looked surprised anyway. Maybe that was just part of the storyline, but it wasn't followed up on SmackDown. They don't seem to be having some sort of rivalry. It's just, it doesn't make sense. We got an explanation from Ryback over the attack of John Cena. It seems that he's turning heel, and I actually thought it was a good promo. It was a taped promo that Ryback delivered, obviously because his mic skills probably aren't good enough to deliver in front of the live audience, but it was still effective. It was well delivered. Ryback actually uttered more words than he has in his entire WWE career so far, and that was even when he was Skip Sheffield. I don't even think he actually uttered one word when he was that character, though. But still, that should be quite a good rivalry going into Extreme Rules. John Cena always seems to face some sort of monster heel in the months after WrestleMania, so Ryback seems to be fitting that role quite well. So it should be interesting to see how that one goes forward. But overall, that was the highlight of the show, and that's saying a lot, really. Very poor stuff. The crowd, the South Carolina crowd, I tweeted saying that Vince McMahon should fire them all, and I think a lot of people agreed with me. They were the polar opposite of the New Jersey crowd after WrestleMania. They were shocking. Nothing, no pops, no boos. It was just a dead crowd, and it was quite tragic, really, especially when Fandango came out. He didn't really know what to do or say, and he delivered an ad-libbed kind of promo which just fell completely flat, and he was able to pick a little bit up back on SmackDown, but it was horrendous. It was horrendous. So hopefully WWE can get back on the track tomorrow with Raw, where we'll probably see Triple H address Brock Lesnar's Steel Cage match challenge. That was another highlight, actually. Brock Lesnar coming down and annihilating three-man band. It was fun. Heath Slater. Slater's going to slate. Got F5'd into a wall twice. He won't be winning the world title anytime soon, I can tell you that anyway. But yeah, so that was Raw, poor overall. SmackDown was actually surprisingly the better show of the week. And usually it's not. It's a recap show, as most of you know. The matches, you had a good couple of matches on there. You had Wade Barrett, Kofi Kingston, title champion versus champion. It was a solid match. Obviously, the wrong person won, but Wade Barrett is obviously being poorly booked at the moment, and Kofi, as I said, is getting a mini push. So it was always going to happen. And another quality match was Alberto Del Rio versus Jack Swagger, and they delivered the best match of their rivalry so far, and it might be the last time we see them in singles action together for the last time. They're obviously, they booked the triple threat match for Extreme Rules. Dolph Ziggler will defend against Jack Swagger and Alberto Del Rio. So they're both running injury angles with Del Rio, the ankle from Jack Swagger's Patriot lock, and Jack Swagger with the cross arm break injury on the arm. So obviously, I think Ziggler might capitalise on one of those injuries, or maybe both of them in a triple threat match, and retain his title the cheap way. So quite interesting going forward in that respect. So, but yeah, SmackDown much better. Obviously, you still get the recaps, you still get from the Vault stuff in the UK, but it was a much better show overall than Raw. So WWE will hopefully capitalise on that and actually create a SmackDown that's a little bit more fluid and a bit more, like that going forward. But they just really need to work on Raw, as I said. So yeah. UFC, there was UFC on Fox 7 last night with Benson Henderson defending his title against Strikeforce export Gilbert Melendez. Most people thought it was going to be a good close fight, and they weren't wrong. That was a really razor thin close match. It was fantastic. It went the distance with Henderson retaining by a split decision. A lot of people didn't think that was the case. They thought that Melendez had done enough. But if you look at the fight metrics, Benson Henderson clearly outlanded against Melendez, and probably deserves to take the title. I think there will be a rematch. They should fight again, maybe even start a trilogy. So, Dana, if you're listening, make it happen. Other good matches on the show. I mean, Daniel Cormier made his UFC debut against Frank Mir. It wasn't the fight that most people were expecting. They thought it was going to be an explosive, quick, heavyweight bout, like most of them are. It actually went the distance with Cormier dominating Mir, surprisingly using the clinch. I thought Mir should have taken it to the ground, pulled guard, but he didn't. He tried to throw leg kicks for some reason, and they worked in the third round, but it was too little too late. So Cormier wins in his UFC debut. But the two matches preceding that, Matt Brown and Jordan Meehan and Nate Diaz, Josh Thompson, were cracking little matches. So if you have a chance to watch the replay or perhaps download it and watch it, heavily recommends that you watch those two matches as well. Fantastic stuff. So a good overall event, and UFC really seemed to have upped their game, and probably because we haven't had so many pullouts with injury. So coincidence? Perhaps so. So yeah, overall good for UFC, not so good for WWE. Moving on, I've started a new segment of the show where I asked the Twitter sphere, you want to call it Twitterverse, for questions that they would like answering on the show. And I've got a couple of questions here with me now. Question one comes from the Nostalgia Geek, a good follower and supporter of mine. He asks, why won't WWE put their younger guys in matches like Hell in a Cell or First Blood matches? Older ones I understand, but younger guys can take it. Well, if you go back to 2009, you might recall Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase facing DX in a Hell in a Cell match. So that was an example of younger talent being utilised. And if you want to go further back, in 2002, Brock Lesnar defended his title in his first year against The Undertaker in Hell in a Cell. So I don't think it's a case that they're not utilising younger talent. I just think that Hell in a Cell was a match. It's a blockbuster match. So at the moment, with talent like Brock Lesnar, Triple H, the part-timers basically, they'll probably be looking to have their blockbuster match, the Hell in a Cell, feature blockbuster talents. Hopefully down the line, we should hopefully see some younger talent back in those matches, but for the time being, probably won't happen. Her First Blood match, obviously, WWE's moved in a different direction. You won't be seeing that anytime soon, obviously, with the whole PG era. But good question, thank you for that. Another question comes from Mr. Jason C. Bell, and it reads, why does WWE feel they should kill the momentum of stars like Ziggler and Wade Barrett after winning a title? Well, as I mentioned earlier on, Obviously Ziggler won the title, but before that had lost most of his matches over the year, and then lost to Jack Swagger on Raw. Um, I think that WWE are doing this deliberately to try and shape the product and to make it a more unpredictable product. If you have your champion losing intermittently to people who should be challenging for the title, it creates a more interesting rivalry. This is what WWE think. This is not what I think. I think that's absolute nonsense. I mean, people like Ziggler and Wade Barrett obviously reached the title by beating the guys they're losing against. So it doesn't make any sense. If they can't beat the guys they were beating to get the title, they don't deserve to hold said title. So we've seen that with Kofi Kingston, we've seen that with Wade Barrett, and we've seen that with Dolph Ziggler. They're free title holders that have been losing on a regular basis, and it doesn't fill anyone with confidence, let me tell you that now. So I think Ziggler will find his stride. He'll obviously win at Extreme Rules and will probably enter some sort of high-level feud with, I would say probably Sheamus or somebody of the sort. It's difficult to call at the moment there because it could be that Randy Orton turns heel and feuds with Sheamus, but remains to be seen. But yeah, thank you very much for those questions. And that just about wraps it up for this week. A much shorter show, you'll be pleased to know. Next week we have Monday Night Raw and Smackdown, as you know. And on Saturday we have UFC 159 with Chael Sonnen taking on the reigning light heavyweight champion John Bones Jones. So that should be a good fight, and it's been heavily hyped. I don't think Chael Sonnen has the skills required to take the belt from Jones, and I think Jones will probably establish himself as a dominant champion at the same level as George St. Pierre and Anderson Silva. So, but it should be a good fight anyway. Not too sure on the undercard though. I don't really rate Alan Belcher very much, and Michael Bisping has pillow fists, so probably won't make for a wonderful co-main event. Probably something that goes a distance, but we shall see. But if you stay with the Punk for coverage of all of those events, I'll be on Twitter and I'll be tweeting the night away. If you have any questions like these guys and you'd like them answered on the show, please feel free to tweet me at thepunk2012, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have next week. Thanks for watching.